The newest country to get Google Street View just dropped. That country is Kosovo. If you've heard about Kosovo recently, it's probably because of Serbia's claims on its land. As you can see from the dotted line here on the Google Maps mapmaking.app thing, it is a debated territory, and some countries that are large powers declare it as not part of Serbia, and some declare it as part of Serbia. So, with this geopolitical conflict, you end up not hearing as much about the urbanism of this interesting country. And since this is a new country drop on Google Street View, I'm going to be using GeoDuels, a free GeoGuessr alternative, to show me some Kosovo locations on a map generated by me and on a map that someone else made. I actually picked the locations on the map, so I may know some of them, although I tried not to look too hard. So without further ado, here's the first seeded GeoGuessr. We started in a pretty recognizable city of Pristina location, and I got it right. It's a nice location with some fall coverage, and those modern office buildings are either found there or in Pristina, the capital. The next location was actually one of the few unofficial coverage locations in the map, just for some mountainous areas that they couldn't get the Google cars to. It's breathtaking, I just wanted to include it in there, just because you can't see that in normal GeoGuessr any other way. Bad region guess, but some of these small towns are a great example of how urbanism can thrive in areas where there's barely any roads. You can imagine that there's plenty of small towns there, and the map proved that. So it's interesting to see some of these places, and it'll be cool to see some of them that come up in later seeds. The next seed was one of those small towns. Nice little spot, but very different from Pristina or Pristina, or even Mitrovica. It's one of those small towns where you can imagine that basically everyone knows each other, but there's some charm to the urbanism of those places too. We'll be seeing quite a bit more of that as we explore more Kosovo locations. And apparently region guessing may be out of my ballpark unless I know where I picked the location. Next lock was a very different one from the rest of the Kosovo spots. You can see how there is so much diversity in this small country. This landscape was pretty much arid in a very Mediterranean way, while everything else is quite mountainous and lush. So it's cool to see this. I middle-hedged in some of the dry valleys around Pristina, but it was actually very south of the country where you can find some more arid landscapes like it, more near the North Macedonian border. This was a nice small town location. It was interesting to see how these towns have developed throughout the rolling hill landscapes that can be seen here and in various US states and countries nearby. This landscape is quite unique to the Balkans area within Europe, so it's a good tip to know. Also, the Kosovan word for street, which is actually Albanian because they speak Albanian in Kosovo for the majority, is rruga, which is good to know. Serbian is also a spoken language, and Cyrillic text is used along with Latin text in Kosovo. Now with somewhat more background on the languages in Kosovo, I made a guess knowing the town, and it did turn out to be Gilan like I knew. It's a nice spot and looked like a very casual urbanism town, similar to many around Kosovo. It's very much derived from farming and local resources, and there's not a lot of foreign investment, which has a charm to it too. I actually played another seed on the Kosovo map, which was made by another person, but you can see that if you get this video to 5 likes. I ended with a nice score and saw some nice parts of Kosovo that I wouldn't have seen if they didn't get Street View. But if you want to see a more in-depth video about Kosovo's urbanism, then make sure to subscribe as I may make another one. Overall, Kosovan cities end up being quite powerhouses for their region with a lot of infrastructure investment and large buildings and companies moving in, as it kind of has a central location to the Balkans and is a great spot for startup companies to go where no one else has taken over the market. But for small towns, the future is pretty bright there too. You can see a lot of roads and investments and buses and stuff leading to these towns and bringing up their economy for generations to come. So, let's end the video here and watch another one of mine at the link that's going to come up on screen at some point somewhere.